episode 3 of All Goes Back to Sonic. Starting us off today is me, Bob. My bros here are Dorka For You, Harvek, and MegaFire. Today we're going over the Princess Sally miniseries, Sonic the Hedgehog 21 through 25, and last is the Sonic and Knuckles special. I guess let's kick this off when I wouldn't be able to summarize the Princess Sally miniseries and knock that out for us.
Yeah, we get an attempt by Kenneth E. Penders to make her an interesting character, which almost works until it tricks us. Then it doesn't actually. So I guess I'll start us off with Sally. So Sally's miniseries is about how she is leading a secret assault, continuing off the heels of the second story of issue 20, where she leads a bombing of some facility in Robotnik's territory and meets someone. The story overall is about how she is in charge of a group of new trained freedom fighters, sort of the new age, the young amateurs, while also working with Geoffrey St. who is an alleged Secret Service individual from the old Kingdom of Acorn. They're tasked with thwarting the power supply to Robotropolis. Then we have Sonic 21 through 25. Basically, we've got here is that heel turn towards a more serious story. We have Sonic and crew stopping a rogue AI who's adapting to Sonic's abilities in 21. In 22, we've got Sonic and Sally and showing up in the future, but not really. Kind of a little setup for Robotnik's new offensive against the freedom fighters. We've got 23, where Sonic, Robotnik, Snively, Tails, Rotor, and Sally all get, I think I already said Sally twice, sorry, get kidnapped by like this weird alien overlord and pretending to work together to get out of the situation. And we got 24, where Sonic and evil Sonic gang fight each other. That's it. Also, they're gypsies. That's not going to get any more detailed from me, by the way. Even when we get to 24, it's not that good. 25 is our Sonic CD adaptation, our second game adaptation, second.
We had Sonic Spinball.
That's one,
and then I think before after that. Well, when Knuckles showed up, does that count as like a Sonic 3 tie-in or no?
Yeah, I guess. Okay, yeah. I guess that's Sonic 3. So yeah, this is our third one, and then we got our fourth one in the sort of fourth one, loose adaptation of Sonic and Knuckles. I guess it's less than a loose adaptation, but you know, they're all kind of loose adaptations in a way. But so we got 2 game specials coming up in this episode. That's the overview. Sally 1, a Sally miniseries, the Princess Sally miniseries, with the logo that looks like it's straight out of a Disney cartoon. It's it's a story. So we'll start off there. So first off,
sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah. Speaking of the art, I was going to say Mawani and D'Agostino were the ones charged with this one. But yeah, go ahead, Bob. What was the same about the art?
I'm not keeping track of who draws which ones, but whoever did this, the art style in general is very like weird old Disney cartoon, which is something I always noticed. I just didn't know how to put it into words until just now.
It's been a while since I looked at their credits, but I think they literally have worked on Disney stuff. So
it's Mawani, right? Yeah. I didn't know Mawani worked in Disney. That's really interesting.
It might have been like Disney Comics or something. It's been like a maybe weeks since I looked at their like website, so I could be misremembering slightly.
It's a good thing to look at, actually. So his name is Art Mawani, and he did work through, I think, the whole lifetime of the comics. He actually also did the cartoon, Sonic the Hedgehog, where he did the storyboarding for it. But yeah, he's been with us since issue 10, I think. He did the Sonic or the Knuckles mini series, which we'll get to.
So I guess that makes some sense, because the Sally thing we just did, this is where it starts to feel a lot like the Sonic cartoon. I feel like I've said this last time, but this is definitely like secret agent bullshit, whatever that was about.
Yeah. So the issue starts us off. You're 100% right. I'm actually going to start us off before the issue starts. This is something I wanted to bring up before, but I know everybody who, depending on how you read these comics, is going to get different things. But I have a lot of the original comics present both on my bookshelf and digitally, one way or another. And I just want to take a minute to appreciate the advertisement here that we have for this one. And it's Sonic Triple Trouble. And I've never seen any advertisements for that game, period. I don't see people talk about that game very much. This is today, I guess, like 10 years ago and today, like, we know who Knack the Weasel is. I don't know how much of that is because of the comics or how much of that is because of Triple Trouble, right? Like...
Wouldn't he be Fang the Sniper at this time? Or is that
right? He was Fang.
I don't actually remember the history of his name. It's like I know he goes by two names. I don't know why or which one came first.
The advertisement doesn't even mention him. He's on there. You see a piece of art from him. I think it's interesting to see the art in the game's promo and then just kind of compare it to the.
Just so I'm clear, we're talking about the purple weasel man with the hat.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
He's just standing there, menacingly.
Yeah.
Is that a Chaos Emerald? Or is that just an emerald?
Or is it a Power Emerald? Or is it a Emerald? Period. Nothing else.
You know what? This is the games, actually. There's only Chaos Emeralds. No other jewelry exists, so...
Yeah.
Unless it's a time stone.
We saw the Sea Fox, right? In the comics? Tails' sub? Or not yet?
I don't think we have. I don't remember seeing it.
I don't think so.
It'll get incorporated. I know this is kind of looking ahead and sort of not directly related to comics, but, in the show notes, there'll be the advertisement I'm posting. But yeah, I don't know. It's cool. You'll see a lot of elements from this one commercial in the comic later. Sea Fox, Tails' Adventures by MZ. It'll be Tails' miniseries. But anyway, the preface. This is the next thing that I wanted to mention. This is the summary, and it's so Star Wars. It's so Star Wars. But not only that, it's like it's serious, right? It's not joking. There's no jokes. I mean, maybe the whole thing is a joke because it's literally Star Wars. It literally says "not long ago," and then at the very end, it's just like the next generation of freedom fighters. ... It's like you can hear the song playing in the background, and it's just they even name drop the freedom fighters as the Rebel Alliance. It's not an accident.
Inspiration, perhaps.
Perhaps, and you're right. Like, I mean, it's secret agent stuff. Like, this is all like subversion and all this.
To be fair, Star Wars also took influence from the old 1930s and 40s serials.
Star Wars took a lot of influence from a lot of things, and this was...
I was just going to say that, like, Sonic itself is no stranger to referencing Star Wars, because, the Death Egg.
Right.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. I agree. I just think it's cool to see this. To be clear, this is not me, like, bashing on the fact that they're doing it. I think it's kind of, like you said,
it's kind of neat,
cool. Yeah, it's cool that Sonic keeps referencing Star Wars. I don't mind it. I think it's neat. That being said, it gives that air of severity that they've tried to turn to. The writers for this series are Kandarovich and Ken Penders, and Mawani does the art of the whole series as well. So we get introduced to a new cast of those junior freedom fighters, or those amateurs. Hamlin, a pig. Not the pig, a pig. I don't know what his last name is. Arlo, who's an armadillo. Penelope the duck, and Dylan the porcupine. A real Looney Tunes group who really don't matter much to this story, except to be bodies to throw at Robotnik.
We have Sonic at home. Here's our porcupine.
Yeah, we have. I understand why they did this. They wanted to put Sally in a story where she is her own character. Unfortunately, they just can't help themselves to subvert their own intentions. Now, I don't know how much of this is intentional, but y'all see when we get there. So she's training these new guys, and she brings St. John back. St. John and Hamlin, the pig, get right into it right away because for some reason they fight. And Hamlin's just always mad. Always mad. That's his whole role. Is he's just angry. He's the most prominent of the group, and he's always angry throughout the series. Just know that. He suspects St. John to be, he's suspicious of him. He doesn't like him, and yeah. So that's the general gist of the story's beginning. They get together to plan a raid on the defense system for Robotropolis. Hamlin and St. John constantly dick measuring. And they take off to the second substation, which is inside of an Indiana Jones ride from Universal Studios. Also, Sally is a bomber now, which is great. She blows up through a window all the SWAT bots, and poof, the Star Wars walkers, the orb bots appear. And they've got to take down these giant two-legged walking bots who are just balls on the top. Hamlin is saved by St. John, and they make another bad pun. They just keep getting worse. Looks like fall came a little bit early. And we get a cliffhanger because St. John makes his way in the dead of night to an unknown portal into a facility of sorts. We don't know where, and we see Princess Sally in a test tube.
Did anyone else think he was like time traveling? Because that was my first guess.
I was just weirded out. I didn't know what it meant. I was just like, what is happening?
It was a little weird, but
yeah.
I also kind of immediately caught on that Sally was wearing a different vest.
I did not notice that at all.
I am so glad you mentioned that.
It wouldn't have been the first time they got colors wrong. We saw what happened with Grounder. He turned like yellow and then purple.
That's what I would think, but this was in the same issue. So I'm like, that's deliberate right there. That has to be.
Well, you would be better than I was when I first read it. I'm not going to say anything else on this, but I'm glad you guys brought these points up. It's weird, but it's kind of a nice setup, I guess. It's the first of the 3 issues. Imagine getting this once a month or once every... I think it's once a month, and you're like, what literally, what is this? The Looney Tunes, Sally too, the Looney Tunes are now serious. They've got a real taste of combat. They're back at it again, taking on another facility. And I will say, at this point, Sally is just really mean. And they kind of take like the whole badass Sally thing a little too far, in my opinion. Like, it's sort of like I'm hard without being like having a reason for it. It kind of subverts what they're trying to go for. Like, she's neat. Like, she's really a leader. She calls the shots. Even St. John listens to her. She does all these really good maneuvers with a slingshot, with bombs. But like in the start of this, she's just like completely like, listen, I'm in charge because I'm in charge. I'm always right. And she is always right, it ends up being. And just, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like, it doesn't feel organic. It feels super forced. Next thing they do is they talk about the assault on the third power station, which is located in an atoll, which the comic is very good about being incorrect. They draw an island surrounded by water, and then they're like, it's located in an atoll, and then the comic translates that for people who are, maybe not so verbally inclined, don't have as vast a vocabulary. It's for kids, after all.
There's no kid that knows what an atoll is.
There's no kid that knows what an atoll is. So it's a ring-like island that encloses a lagoon, and there is none of that on screen. So I don't...
Also, I'm 30 years old and I don't know what an atoll is, so thanks, guys.
It's all good.
Anyway, they assault the island and a kaiju appears. It's actually amazing. It's an octopus kaiju. It's the coolest looking bot we've seen in a while, in my opinion. Sally gets captured. Insert stupid hentai joke here. St. John is that person.
I hate to say it, that's the first thing that came to my mind when I saw that.
Of course. I hate to say it too, but it doesn't subvert that I like this monster and he's cool.
It's pretty cool.
He proceeds to capture everyone except for St. John. They get out of this situation, blow up the base, and they use hang gliders to swoosh away. In the latter half of the issue, St. John, resident kidnapper, absolute kidnapping and stealth is 100 on his skill sheet, because he just takes Sally, picks her up in the dead of night, and just walks her all the way to that facility that he was at before without her waking up. And let me say, she's just draped over his shoulder like a rag. Does a little swaparoo, puts her into a test tube, and then opens the other test tube and takes the other Sally out. And you find out, Robotnik's there. Who could have guessed? It's a robot double.
And you find out Robotnik has a pet kitty.
Yeah, that's right. He's got a pet kitty. So this is Bob mentioned this earlier, but absolutely James Bond vibes.
When I see this cat, I'm thinking more like Inspector Gadget with the guy who had the cat.
Oh, yeah.
His face is always off
Gadget,
screen. Too. What's the name of this cat?
Do we know?
Name the cat, guys.
What would a Robotnik name a cat?
Clawbrain.
Clawbrain?
Why is the cat not roboticized? That's this whole thing, right?
Yeah. I didn't even think about the cat. You opened up a doorway of discussion that I wasn't ready for.
I don't even remember there being a cat, so I'm just sitting here really
I didn't
confused.
either. I was just reading through the thing as we go along, and I just noticed this cat. I'm getting too fixated over it. I'm sorry.
No, that's... Why does he have a cat? It doesn't appear again.
It's a little out of character. I thought he hated animals.
Ken Penders, explain. Why did you write a cat into this? Did you do this, or did Maloney do this?
Why is it smiling menacingly?
It's also evil. Of course, we have. It means it's Robotniks. We can't feel sympathy.
Cast the brains by the operation. Anyways,
look. Maybe it's like pseudo-Sonic. It looks real, but it's a robot.
Oh,
maybe you're right. And it ate his bird, probably. Man, that's just so evil. He's petting it.
That's right. That's the cliffhanger for that issue. And I do want to bring something up here. It's the first time we get one of those little write-in sections. The kids can write in and they get their letters answered by the staff and the characters. This first one we have is from Christina. I'm not going to do this every time, but I do think it's worth mentioning and highlighting this because Christina Wright from Monteca, California wrote to Princess Sally herself, saying that she's beautiful and kind. And I'm glad that she is able to see that because I didn't, but I'm glad that she feels that way. She's asking the hard-hitting questions right off the bat. Are you really going to marry Sonic? Have you ever met Knuckles? Do you have a mother? Christina, you can't just ask people that. You can't ask them any of those questions. Imagine the faux pas if you went to a party and you found someone and you said, have you ever met Knuckles? You would be shunned out of there.
Or,
and of course...
if they did meet Knuckles, you get a pretty good story out of it, probably.
It's true. And Princess Sally answers, she might, it could be to marrying Sonic. We just don't know. She also says, I will be meeting Knuckles in an upcoming Sonic and Knuckles 48-page special. I wonder if we'll get to that today. And number 3, of course I do. Of course she has a mother. Of course she has a mother. Her origin may yet be told. It will. That was me. I'm saying. Anyway, Christina Wright, wherever you are, hit us up because I want to know what you think of the rest of the comic at your age now, which is probably older than I am. I'd love to see the perspective. Anyway, that's that comic. I'll put the little message in the show notes as well. Sally 3. Did you notice her vest was different colors? Because Harv did. Yep. Indigo versus blue. That's the title card of this, the cover art of this issue.
They're hyping up the big fight that never happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they threw us for a loop. If that was the intention, then yeah, I gotta give them that. I guess.
What do you guys think of this? I guess I should just finish just a quick overview of this. There's not really a ton to say. Hamlin sucks. Story sucks. Okay, maybe I should explain why I think so. Basically, we find out that Robot Sally was So from the very first issue, St. John and Sally both think of a way to dupe Robotnik by having St. John be a double agent, triple agent, whatever. Very like Revolver Ocelot-esque. And they basically he kidnaps air quotes Sally and puts her in the tube and takes Robot Sally to the group.
I have to interrupt you for a second. I was not expecting the name drop of Revolver Ocelot to ever come up when talking about the Sonic comic.
Oh, it'll come up again. Don't worry. I'm sure.
Revolver the Ocelot.
Revolver the Ocelot. So he swaps her out, and then later on when we see him at the place again, like the third time when Robotnik's revealed to us, he swaps the robot out for the real Sally. But Robotnik thinks the robot Sally. It's very convoluted. That's not the bad part. I get that, but what that means is basically the whole story we've had a robot Sally. We haven't had a real Sally. Kind of subverts the fact that she's the leader. She's doing all these things. I mean, you do get the very beginning, which she's still doing cool stuff, but like, and the very end, which she's still doing cool stuff and leading and being very confident and tactical. You could say that there's a read on this like story of like, oh, this was all Sally's like plan. She's just very tactical. She's very calm, collected, knows what she's doing. She doesn't need this, like type of deal. That's fine. I just wish for her first special that wasn't just like, a robot that did everything cool. Anyway, the reversal happens. The Green Berets appear, which are St. John's squad, and the medals are given to the newbies, in which Sally stabs each one and puts the medal on their skin. And I think that's pretty funny. It's a definite classic. I posting an image of her awarding the new freedom fighters.
I just look at these guys. I'm wondering, like, are we really gonna see these guys again?
Maybe. Oh, big important thing. Sonic and St. John kiss. Sally and St. John kiss at the end, and now a love triangle has happened. Thanks, Ken Penders. I don't actually know if that's his fault. As I understand it, and this is just to preface, like, everything, there's a lot of bureaucracy between Sega and the way that the comic is written, choices that are made. I think I mentioned this on the first episode, but there are times there's like interviews out there of like the writers being like, we wanted to do things, but Sega only gave us like piecemeal content from like the games, so we had to kind of wing it. And we'll see that when we get to like the Sonic Adventure stuff. We will seriously see that stuff, which is a little ways out, but yeah, you can, I mean, like, it's not bull. Like, they really did not have like as much communication as they probably should have had. Like, if Sega really wanted to have more reign on this, which, I mean, apparently they didn't, because they really let them go hog wild with a lot of stuff. They just kind of had to undo stuff if Sega didn't like it, which is fine, I guess. It's not the best writing practice, but whatever. And I know a big one is Sonic and Sally romance. Can't have that. Can't have that be explicitly clear. So the closer they get to a romance being clear, and I mean, there's a lot here in this group of comics that like are like, oh, Sally, a future where Sally and Sonic are together, like married with kids, and I mean, like there's a lot, like, so this whole St. John thing is like, will she, won't she type deal, because it doesn't matter if she ends up with him. it does matter who Sonic ends up with.
Every time you say St. John, I immediately hear the Duke Nukem voice in my head.
I wonder if that's a reference to...
St. John's
I highly doubt it.
St. John's like a common name in places, but...
I mean, he's supposed to be an Englishman. Oh, I forgot to mention that. This skunk is an Englishman.
Biting commentary right there.
Yeah, I feel like people should know. So what do we feel about this, boys? I mean, I kind of went over everything. You all added some stuff, but any overarching thoughts?
I just want to quickly mention, like, the notes I left for myself are very unhelpful and plain, and like the one thing I wrote about Sally number 2 was just, I wish Geoffrey would shut up. I think I don't particularly like this character.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
Don't care for him.
I do like how there's actually some breaks in like the dialogue in this. They're not talking every single panel, you know?
Yeah, it's I know what you're talking about. Yeah. There's more like, because we're used to the old ones where it's all slapstick. And with this one it's more like, let's tell some of the story with action. It's cool. I like that. And it happens later, like we'll see, and even just like
it was cool. I just wish I liked the characters in the special. I wish like MegaFire said, it's not something I thought about until he said something, but yeah, Sally basically did nothing when it's her like issue.
Yeah.
It was my assumption that she came up with the plan, so it was kind of her doing, but still.
Yeah. Apparently, I don't have a source for this, unfortunately, but
getting the big juicy drama from you.
It's not even that big of a drama. It's more like, like everything about this. I hate to say this, feels like they wanted to do something for girl readers, but at the same time, as I've read online, they didn't do anything to advertise it in the usual places. I guess obviously, not obviously, we had the previous writer the first writer into this, to the comic was like a girl, Christina, and I'm sure they did that on purpose for the fact that it's the Sally comics, but to hear that they didn't actually advertise it like in, maybe female-centric like magazines or other comics, especially with the way that they did Princess Sally Acorn as like the title of the series for, like fully, with like a very like cursive Disney-esque. I mean, you were right. This is like, it's very Disney princess-esque. I'm just surprised that it didn't really amount to much, and it's unfortunate because I'm all for expanding the audience. I still think a lot of girls read the comics in general, but I mean, it's just like, if you're gonna do this thing, do it right, which I feel like is a common trend with this comic, but whatever.
I just remembered something I wanted to bring up, that it's just something I read on the Thanks Ken Pender's blog, so
yeah.
I don't even know where to look for like
credits to Thanks Ken Pender's, shoutouts.
I don't know where to look for like the citation for this, but there's just this part where she mentions like Ken Penders has said that his original plan for the miniseries, which was rejected, involved Sally discovering an underground society of roboticized citizens, including Sally's mother, the Queen.
And that sounds awesome.
Why didn't we do this one then?
I mean, I liked okay, I want to be clear. I liked this story. It's just that some of the beats in it kind of subvert them.
Yeah.
I don't. So I want to be like, also about St. John. I think he's an interesting character who I am made to hate on purpose. At least I hope that's the reason. That's the feeling I get. I'm kind of cheating because I've read forward in the story. This is not a surprise. I told you this is like my fourth read through. But like, just what I see in the future, I think that he's just there for us to not like him. This is his character. Like,
Well,
this
that
is
wasn't
his character.
It certainly wasn't the vibe I got when they introduced him to us and had the story, but I guess it'll make sense
Maybe
later.
he was always cocky and self-important and like constantly like trying to like rile people up. Maybe that's my read. Maybe like my read is like, because Sally was like not always taking his back, right? Like she was never like, until that very ending sequence where they kiss is like, so she's like, you know, she values him as a team member, but he kind of acts up and she calls him out on it. And, you know, it made me think, you know, this guy's kind of cocky, kind of a dick. And he is.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Any other thoughts on the thing before we move on? No? All right. Cool.
No.
Hold your peace. Sonic 21. We've got Spaz and Dag. The first Patrick Spaziante cover, y'all. Alert, alert. This man is beloved. He's still at it even now. He's still doing art for the Sonic comics at IDW. He is a legend in this sphere. He has some of the coolest art. I will say it's one of my favorite styles that the Sonic Comics is in, is his art style.
So it probably wasn't about to be just me who said, I really like the way he draws Robotnik.
No,
yes,
right?
yes.
So
it's so good.
It's great.
To be clear, he also did the pencils for this issue, which he doesn't do frequently. I'm going to subvert myself by saying that now because he's done quite a few of these next few issues, but he doesn't do it a ton. He's not like a regular. So it's always a treat when he's doing the pencils for the whole thing. He'll become a staple cover artist, but not like the pencils for the issues. The writer for 21 was Ken Penders, Just Penders. And it's like I mentioned before, you know, it's a simple story. It's very to the point. Sonic is fighting off a new SWAT bot that it's just a regular bot, I guess, that adapts to his combat style. Robotnik is tired of him thrashing all his SWAT bots, so he's trying to develop a new AI that will learn from Sonic and adapt and do it live as he's fighting. The name of this AI is Eve, and the way that Robotnik created Eve was to mix his DNA with Sonic's, a recipe for disaster. The story is like the first time I think that we see Sonic just take a bunch of L's. If anybody here has ever watched Justice League or read any DC comics that's related to Amazo, this is very much in the vein of like Amazo, where the AI just keeps getting better and better, turns into different forms, a giant swap bot, a big snake, giant buzz bomber, shoutouts. We love to see the classic badniks. And yeah, like he just takes a bunch of L's.
Oh, go ahead. I want to talk about the final form when we get there.
Yeah. And I just want to quickly like do the mention that so Robotnik dies or gets vaporized because Eve thinks that she's surpassed the need for him. And to win, Sonic pulls an Amazo style victory where he's like, you know, listen, we're all just trying to have a good time. You should go beyond your programming and learn to have fun. And through the power of friendship and fun, she's like, you know what, you right. Turns into a butterfly and goes to space. What the hell were those? What Spaz and Penders? What y'all smoking? Why is
the final form Mother Brain?
Damn it, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, one of the final combat forms is literally Mother Brain with giant echidna tentacles.
It's Captain N Mother Brain, and I could not unhear the fucking Mother Brain voice from that show when I was reading that.
I did make that connection. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although I did write down in all caps Mother Robotnik.
I took a screenshot of it and I forgot to show us. Here's I'm gonna post in the chat.
Post Robotniks in the chat.
Here it is. See, the comics got more serious, but they're still doing like Robotnik parents, family jokes and stuff.
This is like the only issue so far that has had like one consistent story through it all.
Yeah. No, we're gonna get that.
Yeah, there haven't been multiple parts. No part 1, part 2, part 3. Just one solid story throughout.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, it made it more enjoyable for me to read.
And
Yeah.
we're gonna start seeing that more often. It's not gonna be completely that style, but I mean, we'll still have like part 1, part 2, part 3 in the same issue, which is what this one does for some reason. I don't know why they do it. It's like a weird, like, maybe they write the story out and then they split it into parts where they think if we need to, we'll cut together different stories for release. I can't guess why else they would, but yeah. Next up, we've got anybody have anything else to mention about 21?
No, I'm good.
22, another Spaz and Dag, and we got Zurg on the cover. So we got Robotnik on here again. Obviously, he's not dead. They're not gonna kill him off. Except Penders really wants that. This isn't the first and not the last time we're gonna have Ken Penders writing a story where he tries to kill Robotnik off for forever. Obviously one of the things Sega would not like. And he looks like Zurg on this cover art. It's really funny. Again, the writer is Ken Penders, and we got art continuing by Spaz. The pencils are Spaz. So we've got this beginning where it's the future. Sonic and Sally are married, and they have children, and he's the king, and she's the queen, and blah, blah, blah.
It kind of threw me off that we're suddenly in the future when I was first reading this.
Yeah.
We had that happening before in one of the In Your Face, I think, the special. Did we read that one yet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it just happened so suddenly. I don't know if it's just me, but it was just a little bit off-putting.
Yeah, no, I understand. He really likes to play in the space of alternate timelines and alternate multiverses and all that stuff.
It also feels like he's also a big fan of this very specific future that he really wants to happen for some reason.
The good end, Sonic and Sally. I mean,
That depends on who you ask.
Yeah, we know what his OTP is.
Some people's worst nightmare.
Yeah, y'all are gonna. I feel like bite your tongues later when we get all the other romantic shenanigans. Anyway. Robotnik is apparently not vaporized. He's been beamed up to a different dimension where he's on a satellite platform and he meets Robotnik from issue 20, who was the guy who unleashed that giant robot on the multiverse. He's uploaded himself into a satellite because he just got absolutely wrecked by the freedom fighters on his dimension. And they give each other a pep talk. Robotnik's like, well, I'm doomed. I'm going to run out of power and whatever. I've given up. And Robotnik's like, nah, no, me. That's quitter talk. You're so much better than that, King. And then Robotnik's, no, what, you right. Let me send you back to your time. I gotta work through some shit. And then, yeah, he sends him back. And we see Robotnik say, Blueford boob. I wrote that down as one of my notes. It's
we also had I think we're about to pass it, where we also had an off-colored Robotnik mustache. So I screen capped it for you.
Yo, it's pink as hell. What can you tell us what he said in that?
Hello everybody, my name is MegaFire.
I was not prepared for the dialogue in it.
Bob always bringing us the quality content.
Man, that's good. So yeah, we've got I forgot to say that when apparently Robotnik had a contingency plan where if he died, he unleashes all of his robots and mechanical contraptions to just lay waste to Mobius, which is kind of, if you think about it, that's really messed up. He like comes back and Snively's like they're like frustrated that he died without anything to show for it, and like just whips around and blasts one of his own swap bots, because the swap bots were apparently programmed to just kill everything, including Snively, by the way, just so y'all keep that in mind. So yeah, he stops that contingency because he's got to take matters into his own hands. We get a second story here, a little Tales nighttime story written nights, written by Desser and Manic did the art for this one. So we get a little more of that slapstick humor. It's just a cute little tale about Tales and getting a bedtime story from Sally, whom he calls Aunt Sally.
I did think it was quite the crazy whiplash to go from the first story to this one.
Yeah. Apparently, I mean, everything, all the old stories are all canon, so it happened at some point after the Doomsday Scare. And it's a story about Tails being ascribed to Sonic the Knight. This could possibly be the first draft of Sonic and the Black Knight in 1997? Question mark.
Also, Sally lost her vest again.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because they did a bunch of these slapstick things sort of like on the side or what, but yeah, she just doesn't have that anymore.
I think there definitely are instances of like stories or comics being made but they don't get used till later, something like that. I can't. I don't know if this is one of those cases though.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It happens in TV shows all the time, as I understand it. Is they're sometimes written at the same time if there's multiple writers. They just sort of do the writing room planning on everything, and then each writer goes off and does their own thing. Okay, this is Sonic 23. D'Agostino did the cover art for this, and he gave me one of my favorite faces from Robotnik. It's a crying Robotnik face that's just it'll be in the show notes, but he looks like somebody kicked him in the nuts so hard I can hear the deflated scream. The writer for 23 was Desser. I'll learn how to pronounce your name one day. And then the art was Dave Manic. We get our fourth instance of the Sonic feat. I'm still keeping track.
I overlooked this one, actually.
The name of this story is Dr. Robotnik, Freedom Fighter. So it starts off with Sonic, Rotor, and Sally, Tails, all doing something. Rotor needs to do something, so the three of them accompanying him, and Sonic's feet itch. He pulls out a bunch of ants from his shoe. Remember the fact that Rotor has an ant farm, and later we'll meet a character named Archimedes. Just remember that. I'm not telling you any more than that. And Robotnik, Looney Tunes style, pops out of the bushes with Snively, and he has a portable roboticizer, which this small plot point has a lot of baggage that they just sort of drop immediately, because we'll learn some stuff later on about a character named, we've met him, Sir Charles the Hedgehog.
Charles the Barkley, and the history of the roboticizer. I don't know, if you remember anything, just remember this point, that Robotnik made a portable version of the roboticizer, and that's kind of, that'll carry a lot of weight. So the squad, including Snively and Robotnik, get kidnapped by an alien overlord after Robotnik fails to roboticize anyone, and now they'll be playing house for the robot. They trick him by playing dead and having the guy clean his fish tank, which includes the group, and they beat him up, knock him out into space, and then the Freedom Fighters save him because they felt bad. And now he's like, panel. Yes, we get Robotnik disgusted. I mean, we just get a lot of really good Robotnik faces.
Yeah, we kind of went back to the old style for this issue here, right after the end of the world.
It's a little slapsticky. Yeah, so Robotnik gets put in a glass cage, and the Freedom Fighters get ported back because the robot is thankful. None of it matters. This has no weight, except for the weird plot implications.
Just some fun and games.
Mm-hmm. In issue 22, though, we've got the entries for that make your own panel here. Let me just pull it up.
Wait, it should be 23.
23, page 17.
Oh yeah, sorry, 23. Yeah, my bad. Yeah. So we get the entries from the kids, and I just thought it'd be fun to see how our entries compare to the first place person here. I'll read this one out. So it is a story written by Calder Bradford, who I don't know how old they were at the time of this, but there we go. They got the number 1. 9 years old. Okay, are we better than a 9-year-old? Sonic the Hedgehog in All's Whale That Ends Whale. We love puns in the 90s. This is Sonic. This is one summer we're not going to spend fighting Robotnik. Yeah, this is such a great idea, Sonic. Like fishing. And then the boat is called the Freedom Splasher. That's actually pretty good. Yes, I got a Mobian trout. Good one, Tails. I've got a big one. Oh.
You're reading out of order. the page...
Oh, you're right.
You skip the rest of page 1 and they go like backwards and forwards like that.
You're so right. I fucked it. My bad, Calder Bradford. I've spotted the hedgehog crab meat. Yes, a ruler around us. I'm turning my speed to maximum %. Good crab meat charge on my command. Yes, I got a Mobian trout. Good one, Tails. I've got a big one. Wow, it must be a pretty big one. Yeah, yikes. I knew it was too good to be true. So much for our relaxing summer. Say, ah, hedgehog, because you are going down the drain. I don't get that one. I have you now. Did Pinocchio have to go through this? Gee, that was close. No kidding, my speed comes in handy. See you later, metalhead. Bang! Smash! You guys never learn your lesson. Never go boating without a life jacket. That whale bot is totaled, Sonic. Yeah? What a way to end a whale tale.
Way to go, Calder.
Thank you, Calder.
For us, they did feel like it could be dialogue in the actual comic.
Yeah, you really captured it. I'm not going to do the rest. If you want, read it. Sonic the Hedgehog 23, 17 through 19. Page 17 through 19.
I don't know if we should read all these, but I do want to give an honorable mention to third place. So, Kenny Janda is an absolute champion who actually redrew all 3 pages. So I was so inspired by this that I wanted to do a bit where I blank these out and do another rewrite like we did last time. But I don't like all of my jokes, but I do have a couple panels that I want to show off.
I'd love to, yeah.
Okay. So here I have this. I have a bit of page 1. So here's Robotnik. He says, I can't see a thing you just said. Please don't eat me again, sire. And shoots crab me with the shotgun. And I have
With the name you put on the boat.
you saw it. You found it. You got it.
I can't see. Oh, the boat name. Did Kenny write? What was his?
I forgot. I have it open. Yeah, he wrote SNT, Sonic and Tails. I also have one more panel I want to show off. I'll post the whole comic anyway, but I don't feel like reading it just because I don't like the jokes. But I do want to show this.
We'll put it in the show notes.
We'll put it in the comments, whatever we do. And here's another panel. So if you can't tell what this is, it's the bucket with a Kentucky Fried Sonic inside. And it'll have little asterisks to tell you that it's Kentucky Fried Sonic.
Why is he saying it? It's in his speech bubble. What does that sound like coming out?
Kentucky. It just sounds like a crunch. I don't know.
That's pretty good.
Okay,
Please, I urge you to look at the show notes if you put another masterpiece.
I guess I'll show one more panel just to stir up some conversation. This last one says, Tails, what Robotnik voice do you hear when you read this text? And Tails answers, Alfred, what about you, dear viewer? Let us know in the comments.
actually kind of curious. If anybody ends up listening to this thing, I would love to hear like what people imagine Robotnik.
Since I revealed this much, I won't read it, but I'll just go ahead and show this off so you can all look at this in post, and whoever wants to can read it.
The stupidest stuff that makes me laugh. Just see like the thumbnail, and I just see cum.
Just in rainbow colors. Gummy worms.
But that's all I have to show for now.
Oh, I'm glad you left some of Kenny's original work in there.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, I just gave up and left that panel blank. I forgot to like do it at first, but I was like, fuck it, this bit's over.
It's good. It was good. Oh man. All right, back to our regularly scheduled broadcast here. We get another story in 23, which is actually really, I think it's one of my favorite like slapstick ones, where it's called Vol and Tier. It's a story by Desesser, and Manic did the art. It's cute. It's a story about Tails, Anton, and Bunny is what it really boils down to. Basically, Tails needs something done, but it involves going to Robotropolis. And so Anton, in the middle of the night, says, you know what, Tails, don't worry about it. I'll do it for you. Even though he is scared, he doesn't want to get the kid, want to see the kid go in danger. And so, he goes through, uses a map to navigate through, and you see him almost getting caught or like landing in a situation that might get him killed. But he's kind of oblivious to it, or at least he seems to be oblivious to it on screen. And we see, miraculously, robots getting blasted by something or stuff falling over and blowing them up. And basically something that's keeping him safe. We find out at the end that it was Bunny Robot who was his guardian angel. And he gives Tails the thing he was looking for. And Bunny, he comes up to Bunny. And she thinks that he doesn't know or notice what happened, but he gives her a little kiss on the cheek, and he says, "We'll keep it our little secret." Based Anton. Anton is number one. You will see. I will become number one Anton enjoyer.
Another rare Bunny Robot appearance,
and it's a good one too.
Yeah, she doesn't show up much, does she?
No, she's off screen on everything. Even for this comic until the end, and then you see a little play-by-play of her doing stuff. Bunny X Anton OTP, don't at me. I don't care what you think.
Yeah, I think it's funny that when it comes to Sonic himself, I'm like, man, I don't care about any of the shipping stuff, but I actually do think Antoine and Bunny together is pretty cute. Maybe I ship that.
That's right, you better. Dorko says, backing away from the pistol I have at his back.
Oh, right. I was gonna say, just an interesting thing to note is that they just kind of casually have it that they're in a village knot hole, as opposed to the previous hole in the ground.
I forgot to. Yeah, that was one of my notes. Is that we actually see at the very beginning of this story, we see Antoine and Tails kind of walking around the village. We kind of get a glimpse of that with the Tails' nighttime story, where he kind of you see he's kind of in a house,
right?
So yeah, it's nice. Any other guys? Any other comments on this one?
Nothing.
I mean, I guess I could also just say that Antoine and Bunny being a couple was something I remembered from later comics, so I was a little surprised. Oh, it started this early.
Yeah. Strongest couple in Sonic. Sonic 24, Manic and D'Agostino did the cover art for this one, and the writer was Kanarovich and Ken Penders. Sonic, it's kind of not a lot of depth to this one. Basically, evil Sonic and his crew are tired of doing bad things in their world because there's not really much left to do, because they're just they kind of run the house. So they casually go over to our, Sonic Prime's universe and dress up as the gang and start causing trouble. And everybody, you start to see more NPCs or regular adult townsfolks and stuff that are appear, a lot of them in fact, and
it's interesting because I don't know. It's just you get a little diversity on the character. I mean, none of them are like super interesting. It's just nice to see more NPCs.
There's a bit of like a shift away from like the freedom fighters were just like the only ones, but now they're establishing like, oh, there's all these other people too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The gang dresses up as gypsies to allure the evil gang, and then they beat them up. And it's, of all the things that happens in this, the coolest is the fact that there's like a fight, I guess, and the action sequences are pretty cool, like the drawings. I want to bring up again, thanks Ken Penders here, because I did read something that she wrote about this, which I didn't even realize, but 13 issues Ken Penders was a writer or a part of the writing crew of, and 4 of them are all like I mentioned this earlier, but right. Like they're all alt universe stuff, and it's
chill out with the alt universe stuff, please.
Please
work. It does give off a bit of a vibe of someone who's writing Sonic comics who really does not want to be writing Sonic comics.
I didn't even think about it like that, but yeah, I feel maybe he's just like uncomfortable working in the space that Gallagher created or whatever.
Maybe,
even though he set so much of the groundwork, I don't know. It's so weird.
The principle of him like not wanting to write this is like, guys, does Penders like Sonic games? Quick question.
I don't
like.
Think
what do you think he likes to play?
I don't know if he's a gamer. I have no idea.
He only played Sonic and Knuckles.
Maybe he was a Mario fan.
Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I would not be surprised if Ken Penders. I know most of the team that worked on this comic dabbled in the games, but I think because of, I know there's an interview out there, and I'll find it for y'all next time. I know I promised maybe an interview put into this episode, but I don't think I'll do that next episode though. There's an interview out there I know where they talk about how the team was constantly like, and I mentioned this earlier, they're behind on like Sonic official canon in the games, and maybe most of them feel like, you know, we've set stuff up. Maybe, I mean, I'm sure people in the team have played through the games and offer like ways to reflect that in the stories, because there's no way they can't, because there's some like really good little details in the backgrounds. I mean, definitely most of them have worked on like the cartoons. So I don't know. I would say that there's probably some cross-contamination, like just firsthand, but as far as Ken Penders, I have no idea. I'd love to look into that for, forget about it. I'm just going to, Ken Penders, did he play Sonic games?
Speaking of Sonic games.
How about them Sonic Frontiers?
Well, that too, I guess. But for our 25th special, we have the Sonic CD adaptation, a very special guest, Mecha Sonic.
Yes.
You know, the guy from Sonic 3, right? Oh, oops, we got the name wrong.
You're not going to be hearing I'll Crush You anytime soon.
It's supposed to be Metal Sonic, but they named him Mecha Sonic. Mike, let me just quickly, you can actually, if you know the overview, you can go into this. But Spaz and Harvey Mercaducasio, I'm so sorry, did the cover art for this one, and then Mike Gallagher did the writing for this. It's been a little bit since we saw Mike Gallagher, and art, the pencils, was Spaz did that. Now, before y'all think I'm being mean about, Spaz literally goes by Spaz on, that's how he signs off on his stuff, and I'm just going to call him Spaz, because I'm not going to, Spaziante is a very long word to say. All these,
as long as that's what he goes by.
Yes, he's not yes, I'm not trying to be, that's what he goes by. He signs off as Spaz on the comics. You can see it on the very cover.
I did want to quickly mention how funny it is that, like, I believe in the comic and on the cover, seeing Robotnik, but also in the background the game design Robotnik.
Update. This is an article written by Bobby Schroeder. She's if you don't know, she's Thanks Ken Pender's blog writer. She also wrote an article on Medium. This is the first result, by the way. I didn't do this on purpose. Writing about Ken Pender's. Apparently, just to boil it down, go read the article. I'll put it in the show notes. Apparently, Ken did not really like the games very much. So I mean, there's your answer. I'm not going to delve too much into this right now. Maybe we'll revisit what she wrote here in a future iteration of this episode, but of this series. But
what the hell is this glasses Knuckles looking?
yeah. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
It's really funny that you essentially posted a spoiler or anything. You're like, don't spoil it.
Wait, it's like, hey, listen, it's okay if you guys. Actually, I'm not putting this in the show notes. Sorry, I will credit that I did write this or read this from a post that she wrote, but it does have spoilers in it, so don't read it. So go ahead, tell us about 25, because the art is ballin' in this one. I gotta say
this banging. I mean, I wouldn't be able to summarize it on the fact that it's our Sonic CD episode, and yeah. Also, Amy makes an appearance too.
Yeah, the debut of Amy.
Yeah. So we get Robotnik, who is shredding up mail that's going to Archie Comics. What does this mean? I'm sorry, he's not shredding up the mail. He's just he's reading people's letters, and everybody is writing into him, into Archie Comics, to say how much they're glad that Sonic is beating him up, and he pulls a letter out from cute little girly hedgehog, literal, that's how it is in the comic, Amy Rose, and he unveils his new mech after sending the Freedom Fighters a direct message that he's gonna kidnap her. Very, very, very cool. Sonic gets mad, goes after him.
There's a very tragic death in this comic, though. Crabmeat is gone. He's dead.
Good night, sweet prince.
I feel like this probably wasn't the first time he's been destroyed.
Oh, I know, but they make such a dramatic deal about it in this one.
Yeah, he got eaten, and then he got blasted with a shotgun that one time.
He'll be fine.
He'll be alright.
So we get some cool stuff here. We get Robotnik unveiling that he's got another zone that he has. So we get more of the zone stuff, the special zones. And that he's going to set up a challenge for Sonic to navigate these zones in order to save Amy. And unfortunately, Tails also gets captured by doing he's scouting out Robotnik's base. And he gets captured, unfortunately. So now Sonic has to save Amy and Tails. Makes his way to the special zone. You get a little robot computer monitor flying around with Robotnik's face on it, and so he's just going to keep an eye on Sonic through his thing. And also,
that was kind of amusing to see, because it did remind me of a game that comes way later, Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah. Dude, they predicted it. Oh my god, they used all these ideas. Sonic and the Black Knight, Shadow the Hedgehog, Robotnik on the monitor.
Look, it's Big the Cat.
I mean, what's there to say? I would say just read this comic. This is a comic that has a lot of really cool things in it. There's a lot of visual depth to it. There's a lot of art for the backgrounds. I mean, a lot of it's kind of simple. I hesitate to use the word simple. It's shapes. I mean, it's a special zone. So Spaz really went out to make it look funky. And whoever did the colors for this really did, like, they use a lot of pinks and pastels and blues and purples. Like, it's very funky looking, and it's nice.
I appreciate page 16. Well, I don't know if everyone else saw it. There's a little SPO hidden on the left side of the page there under the bridge.
Yeah, I did see, like, there's like a little cameo of SPO, and I believe there's also a cameo of Vector.
Yeah, but also I sound like a broken record, but it just looks really pretty as MegaFire is describing this particular page. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I really like Spaz's art, but I think it's funny because like I feel like it doesn't quite match the writing, or at least it's a little odd. It's still entertaining, but I don't know. I just feel like having this cool artwork with this very goofy dialogue is just such a funny mix.
I think it works though.
I understand. I feel like there's other instances of this like phenomena that happens, that are worse than this. I didn't really feel it myself that much. Like I think it was okay, but I understand what you mean. So Sonic enters the Stardust Speedway zone, and I feel like the reason why these zones are created is sort of to give us this like, okay, so this is a Robotnik special, but this is a different Robotnik that Sonic just happens to get through to on accident or something. Is it my read on it? I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of like why else, because there's a Sega Saturn symbol on one of the buildings. There's a Virtua Fighter character who I, for the life of me, can't remember the name of. He's the guy with the red bandana. So it's like, the people doing these comics aren't ignorant to Sega games. They obviously have some idea, because Stardust Speedway Zone looks awesome. Just like this big city skylights. Robotnik's waiting at the end, the finish line, with a big trap where he crushes crab meat to show it off. And Sonic is racing with Metal or Mecha, whatever. It's supposed to be Metal Sonic, and in comes Princess Sally and Rotor to save the day, because they see that Robotnik set up a trap, so they're coming to warn Sonic since they can't get through to him. We get Sonic using his super 8 super peel out from the games and blasts past Metal Sonic. And the reason he doesn't get crushed is because Amy literally kicks Robotnik's butt with a drop kick from a plane. Very cool.
You said Amy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sally does that. Amy is just still tied up and has hard eyes because she's his number one fan. They have a nice little conversation, Robotnik and Sonic, for some reason. And did Robotnik always have a metal arm?
Yeah.
Yes.
I somehow didn't notice that.
He's a cyborg.
It's just like in StH.
Why doesn't he give himself a gun arm?
Didn't he use the gun arm in the last issue?
No, he has a pistol.
Oh, it was a pistol. Yeah.
Yeah, he shot one of his own robots with a little laser gun.
I just want to say, I really wasn't expecting the story to end with the freaking trap from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Right.
They just do the whole bit.
It's so good.
And they also have a panel of your finger, the viewer. Not any of us. This is your finger. Give it to me.
Yeah, your finger is pressing the button. You are going to kill Robotnik. It's your fault. The blood is on your hands, on your finger, I guess.
This is like some like David Cage stuff where it forces you to play. You have to press the button to kill him.
You have to. You cannot go around it. Yeah, that's the special. Anybody have anything to say? I like this one. I don't know. There's not much to say. Just read it.
This is my favorite issue of our session today.
Yeah, it's probably mine too.
It's good. Mike Gallagher coming in here with he's we know him for writing a lot of the slapstick stuff, but he can really write up a nice story. Like, Sonic kind of leads the charge on this one. Sally and Rotor providing support. It's
as much as I enjoy the silliness of having the cartoon stuff at the end, I think there was a part of me that was a little disappointed by it, or at least it felt very sudden and strange. I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, it's really weird because Robotnik just starts having a conversation with Sonic. They're just I don't know. There's no threat and neutralized. nobody cares.
It was like as soon as he outwitted Metal Sonic, it was like, okay, let's end the comic. So
kinda,
yeah. I wish there was more metal. I feel like we could have had more metal, but it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. It was fun. It was just a good comic. Very good. Like if things are up, up from here, then that's yeah. And we're at the end here of. I'm so sorry. We're going super long, but Sonic and Knuckles, our next video game adaptation, it's supposed to continue off the heels of Sonic 3, similar to how the games came out, where you sort of incorporate the two stories together. It's interesting. So, okay, let me just straight up say that the cover is probably one of my favorite parts of this comic, and it's a spaz cover, and it really gives super vibes of like the Sonic cartoon, even though Knuckles wasn't really in it. I mean, he wasn't in it, right?
No.
Well, what?
The Sonic
Adventures
AM
of
thing.
Sonic.
I think the only cartoon Knuckles was in out of the old ones was Sonic Underground.
Yeah. So this gives me like if Knuckles was in it, I feel like this would have been a frame in it or something, or like because I don't know the silhouetted Robotnik laughing, the way that Sonic is just moving through to like go around a corner, the way that Knuckles puts his leg out to trip him, like everything about like this scene, the framing of it, everything about it like really just screams like Sonic Saturday morning cartoon. I don't know. I just wanted to say that. I didn't get like it just feels so cartoony. It's cute. I don't know. I like it a lot.
It's right. It's good.
So Ken Penders wrote this one. Well, actually, let me just say there's two stories in here. There's Panic in the Sky and Lord of the Floating Island. Panic in the Sky, the first story, was written by Ken Penders and Mike Kantorich, and then Lord of the Floating Island is Ken Penders' solo script. Art Malwini did the art for the first story, and the second story was Harvey Mershidukasio. So the story, basically, we get the floating island, Angel Island, not Angel Island, coming up over, and we see the cast of the Sally miniseries playing some beach volleyball on some kind of village, it looks like. So maybe this is their quadrant of control for their freedom fighters, but we just see a beachfront scene with those freedom fighters and some others that we haven't met yet.
And probably never will.
Probably never will. The floating island appears. The freedom fighter gang, the OGs, are all like, hey, the island's heading straight for Knothole. Something's going on. Sonic and Tails talk about their encounter with Knuckles the Echidna. Seems that they're very confused on why this would be happening. And Sally says, let's go. We have to all take off, get to the island, and figure out what's going on. So Anton, we start to see him on his pilot career, takes off on a plane, and the group heads up to the floating island, and gets attacked by guns that are coming out from the bottom of the island. This is really weird. Heavy artillery. Who could be behind this? Tails and Sonic do paratrooper drop-ins onto the island.
I think there is something very funny about seeing Sonic use a parachute.
It's really funny. Land in the mushroom zone, and the mushrooms come alive, but then it's all in his head because he got bonked by some sort of grapple. They grab the grapple and they find the lumberjack enemy from Sonic and Knuckles. Fight him. Once they defeat him, they stumble down a cliff and see, guess who? This dark silhouette of an angry looking fella. It's Knuckles! Knuckles is like, hey, what'd you do to my island? Why'd you turn into a war zone? And, they both fall down a pit. Sonic and Knuckles are about to start fighting, but then Tails saves them from the cheese, the molten cheese river,
and get him out of there. And they explain, hey, listen, we may know who did this. Your island's moving, you idiot. Knuckles the Echidna, you stupid fool. You look in the sky, it's moving. Are those the right stars? And
Look
Knuckles
in the
being
sky,
the
it's a
astrologist.
bird, it's a plane, it's Dr. Robotnik.
What a shock. I didn't see this coming at all.
Yep. So Knuckles takes them to the secret Chaos Emerald Chamber, the Chaos Chamber for short, and
Still-
shows them the way that it's powered, the floating island.
Yeah, it's still weird to me that it's powered by a Chaos Emerald and not like the Master Emerald. So this means earlier on, Sonic had to have stolen like the Chaos Emerald from here to turn super.
Mm-hmm.
So one day, the floating island just fell and Knuckles didn't know why, and then it just rose back up.
Didn't I guess this is one of those cases where they said it like they doubled down on their own interpretation, because there
Yeah.
wasn't really anything. I mean, I guess the emerald was bigger in Sonic 3, but in reality it's like they were like, okay, well, whatever, we got the point across. It's the same in the game, the size is different.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a matter of artistic choice or just not having enough information about the game or something.
Yep. We find out that Robotnik's been siphoning the Master Emerald's power because he literally burrowed a bunch of engines into the floating island and just went hog wild, turning the whole island into a battleship. Which, I gotta say, actually kind of a cool plot. I like this. I don't remember if that was the case in... I don't think he did that in the game. I think he just stole the Emerald's power.
Just stole them gems.
Yeah, but this is awesome. So now he turned it into a death ship as he's burning down everything underneath all the different freedom fighter villages. Knuckles is angry because he got tripped up by Robotnik and smashes the Chaos Emerald because his motto is do, don't think. And so the floating island starts to crash into a I guess it's more of like a lake or something, but it's also right above one of the villages. So Knuckles is like that was just a social that was just a prank, bro. Here's the real emerald. Always have a spare. And they stop it. They stop Robotnik, save the island, and Sonic and Tails take off. That's the first story. I forgot there's another one. The group meets back up. We have an off-colored Rotor. His whole face is purple. And Sonic tells the gang what happened on his adventure on the island, and Sally's like, "Do you think he'll ever join us?" And he's like, "Nah,
nope."
And we get a very nice picture of silhouetted Knuckles off in the sky.
Giant ghost Knuckles.
A very different looking Knuckles.
A very different. Yeah, the art is very strange. They don't really know how to draw Knuckles.
I thought the art was a little off for this part here.
Yeah. The next story, Fire Drill, is a Knuckles solo story. This is the Sonic and Knuckles. This is the Knuckles story, I guess, where Knuckles notices some hubbub going on in his island and some explosions, and he's chasing something he can't see. He thinks he's onto something. He finds he goes to Sandopolis Zone, finds a temple, and he's chasing someone, an unseen foe. Gets a couple traps pulled on him. He circumvents them with his raw muscles and his climbing ability and his agile feats of strength and dexterity. Finds a door he's never seen before. We learn that he's had a father because we didn't before. And his father was teaching him about.
I would sure hope he does. Did he just materialize out of nowhere?
He may have.
Oh,
Who
okay.
knows? So yeah, he finds a room that he didn't know about. He mentions the fact that his dad taught him about the island secrets and stuff, but he likes to explore the hidden. This is kind of where we didn't really have Knuckles the treasure hunter at this time, because that kind of was a thing that happened more Sonic Adventure. But But we get a real sense of like Knuckles is a very like on his island, but he likes to like pioneer, explore the secrets.
Yeah.
So he goes through. He's still trying to find whoever did it. This is after Sonic leaves the island already, so he finds nobody, and we get an ominous little cliffhanger of somebody holding the bush saying this was his first lesson and he's got a lot to learn, and class is now in session. And so this teases us that somebody's out there looking out for Knuckles. And then we get a very different looking Knuckles because the art changes again, and he has like unga bunga eyebrows. In Lord of the Floating Island, Knuckles is out there looking out for the kids and other animal inhabitants of his island, and you really see him doing the guardian role. And people will say Ken Penders did a lot of shit and did bad, but I'm gonna die on this hill that I think that it's nice when there's more depth to Knuckles as a guardian. And then moments like these are stories like these is what I like about Knuckles and Knuckles' stories that Penders writes, is that there's more to him than sitting on his fucking shrine contemplating this is a call out for Sega. I love Knuckles. He's one of my favorite characters. He has been even before I read the comics, and the comics just made me really enjoy his character even more so. I like the fact that he's more instinctual, and the fact that he's driven by his feelings. Like, it's cool. I think it's a neat thing. So yeah, he saves the kid. He notices some weird stuff going on the island. He brings him back to his mother. It's a kangaroo, and that's the whole thing. He ends the last panel sums it up. This is my island, and I live to protect and serve. Weird, nowadays with the whole police thing. Poor choice of words, but I understand what he means. He does.
All Knuckles are bad.
Yeah. And that's the whole Sonic and Knuckles special. Everybody start talking about
this Knuckles. The Supermaning diving away at the final panel.
I believe one of those stories was drawn by Ken Penders, so that's I believe our first instance of Ken Penders art.
Looks a little strange. Not a huge fan of the art here. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, the last art isn't very good. Is that the Ken Penders art?
No, I believe that's not.
Whoever draws this art, and I did say at the very beginning, I'm not going to go back. This art style comes up late again, more frequently. It's not my favorite art style. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, artist who we just criticized. No hard feelings.
It's just everybody's faces look so strange, and the bodies look weird. Off. I don't know, everything about it just looks off. Knuckles' knuckles are super tiny in some scenes, and there's really long in other scenes, and they're really thick in other scenes, and just the facial expressions he makes are just so weird. I don't know. He looks like the Hulk half the time.
It's like an old ass man.
Yeah, I do like this. This last story is sort of an exposition about the island and its larger story on Mobius, where you see people are like, oh, there's a lot of things happening, things are changing. It used to be that we were peaceful, and now there's we keep getting visitors, Robotnik, Sonic, things that are setting a lot of things out of whack. Do we have thoughts on the special?
I didn't really. I mean,
it was a thing.
I wasn't really a fan of the special overall, but I was going to specifically complain that I wasn't really a fan of the story of the one where he's following the mysterious person, and you're just seeing Knuckles walk around constantly talking to himself, and I'm like, I'm not having a good time, I'm going to be honest. And I'm a little fearful of whenever we get to Knuckles comics. But we'll see when we get there.
Yeah.
I didn't care for it much, but whatever. I mean, the whole thing about turning the island into the weapon was nice, but other than that, this one was a sort of a whatever for me.
Right.
Yeah. I agree. I 100%. I like tidbits of it.
And as far as you saying, like, he's walking around talking to himself, yeah, it's not uncommon. I think the idea they had with Knuckles is that, unlike Sonic, who runs around and talks to a bunch of people, Knuckles is sort of keeping to himself. I mean, it's not all that, but, like, we get, like, it's more of, like, Knuckles trying to work through things by himself. So, it definitely happens more than I would like, but... Harv, any thoughts?
It was the thing that happened. That's really all I can say. It was there. Yeah.
Yep. So that's everything we had. Any last, closing thoughts on this section of comics that we read?
I mean, I've already said my piece that the Sonic CD thing was probably my favorite part. I guess I could have had a good time with the actual, 5 Sonic the Hedgehog comics, and everything else is just kind of, Well, mostly the Knuckles is kind of mediocre. The Sally one had its fun, I guess, but it was like we said earlier, the fact that she didn't actually, do much because she was a robot for most of it. But yeah, I had a good time overall. Yeah.
I think the one thing on my mind is just, definitely at this point, Spaz is my favorite artist. I really love it when he's the one drawing.
Yeah. The guy who did the cool Robotnik, right?
Yeah.
That guy. I love the way he draws
Patrick
Robotnik, a lot. I wanted to say that most of all coming into this get together here.
He draws a very menacing Robotnik.
Yeah,
I like it.
Draws good smiles. Good menacing Robotnik. That's the right word I was looking for.
Wait, what were you saying, Harv?
I said he's an evil boy.
Yes.
Any closing thoughts, Harv?
No. It's the comic has improved, and I'm starting to enjoy myself more reading it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can say that much. I know I had my criticisms, but still, it's getting better as we go along.
I could break the behind the scenes a little bit. I've been waiting till the last day to read stuff. Just because I'm kind of busy doing other projects. But this one I, genuinely enjoyed some of the stuff I was reading.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that trend continues, and that, as we go on, you will see higher highs, and then,
and
less
lower
mediocre.
lows.
Because, it's a comic...
Lows.
It is the longest running comic series based on a game, I believe. That's the that's the special title it holds. And it or I guess longest single story, if you want to call it that way, and so, as expected, it will have dips and it will have lulls in the story, like we have here, where it's you notice all the really good things, and then it's somebody's this is okay, this is whatever. And that's how I feel about, majority of what we read is you have really cool beats, and there's some nice tidbits to pull out and really kind of play with that really stick in your head when you think about the character, like Knuckles the Guardian for me, and it'll become more prominent as we go on, or Sally the Tactical. It's all little things like that. You're right. Silent miniseries was, it was good story. I just wish the finalized execution was a little better. That's everything. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. I believe on our next episode, I'll have us cover Sonic 26 through 29, and in there we'll have the Sonic Triple Trouble special. So speaking of, we're setting it up. We had that Triple Trouble commercial earlier, but I did it for a reason. It's Chekhov's Triple Trouble.
Uh-oh.
Next episode, that'll be definitely on the dossier, is Sonic Triple Trouble. We get our introduction to Fang and Ornak the Weasel.
We'll find out what his name is.
Watch him name him Bob or something just to throw us off.
They're gonna just change his name as he appears through the comic, I bet. I don't remember, but I think that's actually true. And we'll have the Tales mini-series, and that will cap us off. It'll be a bit of a shorter episode and less content to talk about, because we'll have Sonic 26 through 29, the Triple Trouble special, and then Tales' mini-series, which is 3 issues. And that will sort of put us on track for the like kind of end game freedom fighting arc, I guess. It'll be cool. This is probably where it's going to get the higher highs, hopefully, and then we'll start to dip our toes in the Knuckles stuff as well.
Cool.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm glad. Thank you again. Thanks, Kempenders, Bobby, for your reading order and some of your takes.
The way you have to specify some.
I'm sorry. I just,
we don't need to dwell on it. I just think it's funny.
No, yeah, we don't. Like, what I really meant by that is just like I only go to like some of the, because I try to like formulate everything by myself, and then like right before the show I like would pop into like one or two of the like articles or like the threads on Tumblr and be like, I wonder what she thought on this. I'll read it and I'm like, yeah, actually that's what I felt, or maybe not, but yeah, it's nice. Thank you to everybody who worked on this comic. I don't think I said that before, but I do want to say that I am a fan. I appreciate it. I appreciate that what it gave us, where it got us with the current comics and all that. A lot of people spawned off this comic in terms of like artists that like were doing fan art and then ended up working on official projects. So it's kind of cool to see that. Anyway, next episode, 26 through 29, Triple Trouble and the Tales miniseries. We'll see y'all later. And remember, it always all goes back to Sonic.
Yeah. All the way back.
All the way back.
The whole way back. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.